Hi, welcome to Jeremy's Tech Channel, and today we're going to check out ArcoLinux and give another try with the Deepin Desktop Environment. Sometimes I feel like I'm a little slow to the party, and what I mean is, if I would have found out about ArcoLinux when I was doing my research, how did I not see this? I probably would have saved myself some time as I was learning Linux. The whole goal of this thing is an education for people to learn how to use Linux and Arch Linux specifically. Where was I at? I could have saved myself some time. We're going to take a look at the website, just see what their goal is, what they're trying to achieve, and then we're going to run one of their ISOs that has the Deepin Desktop Environment on it. A couple weeks ago, I reviewed a Deepin OS. I had some issues with the ISO that I downloaded. There were some weird quirks happening, and there were some other things like the EULA that I had to sign that I didn't necessarily see as necessary, plus some of the rumors with Deepin OS, but I really loved the desktop environment. I love Arch. The idea of Deepin Desktop Environment. What happens when you put them together? That's what we're going to see. You might be a new user looking for a way to learn how to use Linux. And this guy's got he's got a really good system, it looks like, for learning Linux. I did these steps in a much more painful way. Let's take a look at what it shows here. And on the home page for ArcoLinux, it already starts with the learning piece, learning phase 1. It's like, please read the following essential posts. And when you are working with Linux, you may get the RTFM, okay? You may get that because it is so important from their perspective to read everything. Read a terminal prompt. Read what the code says. Read what the pop-up window says. Read it, please. Process it. And so you have to kind of understand that when you're going through, you can't just skip to the end. You can't do that with Linux at all. Please read the ArcoLinux core info and the ArcoLinux fast track. And what they've done is they've really given 4 major additions and they break it down very clearly. They want there to be nothing to be misunderstood. And you just scroll down and see what these versions are. And then they've given some description of what ArcoLinux is. It's an Arch Linux-based distro that uses Arch Linux as its base, elements from the AUR, applications from GitHub, Debian, Red Hat, compressed files, and then 3 ArcoLinux created elements, themes, icons, conkeys, tweaks, and configs. And you can kind of see the breakdown here of what that looks like on ArcoLinux L and ArcoLinux S, which was defined up here, okay? I really appreciate this. And then they have this learning path. If you go and it says start here, learning path, it describes the different phases for you to grow and learn in Linux. And the first statement is a great one, and I really appreciate this. We recommend you do a lot of clean installs. Put your data online via online services or put them on a USB hard disk. You will break your system starting to learn about Linux. This is normal. 15 minutes later, you'll be back on a newly installed OS. And they have a YouTube channel as well, Mr. Eric Dubois. And if I'm saying that wrong, Eric, I'm so sorry. You can subscribe to his channel, and he walks through all of this for you on YouTube. Phase 1, it really gives you everything you need from a new user's perspective, gives you a desktop environment, the ColumnR's installer, really just gives you some amazing apps, and get comfortable. Then it goes to phase 2, and they start to kind of move some things away, but also give you some other options, some other desktop environments. But they're not introducing tiling window managers yet. And see, this is the piece that I haven't worked through. I've only worked through 2 window managers. I was a fish out of water. So I've still got some learning to do. Now we take a look at other desktops, including window managers and tiling window managers. And then phase 4, and they start to remove and you start to install from the command line and from the script and not from the ColumnR's graphical installer. I just love this. We're going to run through the install process. This is the first time I've seen Arch installed this way. Now, I used Daily Endeavor OS, which uses a graphical installer. That worked outstanding. But as far as vanilla Arch is concerned, this will be the first time. And I guess it's technically not vanilla because this is ArcoLinux. So we're going to go through the install process here. And then we're going to check out the Deepin Desktop Environment on Arch. Now, my first go of Deepin Desktop Environment was with Deepin OS. I did a walkthrough with it. You can check it out and see how my experience with the desktop environment was outstanding. Everything else, ooh. So I'm like, man, if I could get Arch and Deepin Desktop Environment, that will be good. So we're going to see how this is going to work. Maybe this is something that I might move to. I can install the Deepin Desktop Environment on my current install. I don't necessarily need ArcoLinux to do this, but this does give me an opportunity to experience the Deepin Desktop Environment away from Deepin OS. And we get a chance to look at ArcoLinux and get a sense of a part of this. They consider this may be a part of phase 4 to use this. Remember, you're going to do a whole bunch of clean installs doing ArcoLinux if you follow the steps. And, I'm considering hopping on and rolling through this so that I can get even more comfortable in the terminal, even more comfortable with tiling window managers and window managers in general, and to make myself a power user. So I am so grateful for the opportunity to learn. All right, here we go. We've got the easy installation and the advanced installation. I think if you're choosing to do this, you're probably going to use the easy installation. You can go ahead and run gparted, which is a partition tool to partition your drive. I am on a virtual machine. I have 16 gigabytes assigned to this machine, and I have 8 cores assigned to this virtual machine. We pull up a graphical Calamaris installer, no swap, ext4, or BetterFS, Riser. I hadn't seen that one in a bit. BetterFS. That's what I feel most comfortable. Set up a user, and then we make sure and check our summary to make sure everything is set the way we want it to be. Never skip the screen. And install. I'm not going to do a speed up on this one. I'm just going to skip to the end. If there is a change, I will go ahead and cut in and let you see the change. But this is the Calamaris installer, and I've walked through that multiple times. Pick any one of the basic Linux reviews that I've done, and you can take a look at that. If you are unsure about the install process, it's really simple with the Calamaris installer, and so you can check out some of those other videos if you'd like. This is the default login screen for the ArcoLinux Deepin Desktop Environment spin. It is pretty Borg cool. If you know, you know. Now, this is what you are greeted with. You do get a welcome screen. It is always welcome to have a welcome screen. And, they highlight after this install, updating Arch Linux mirrors. So, and there are some updates available. But I will go ahead and choose to update the Linux mirrors right now. When you see something highlighted as direct as that, you probably should do it. You can click this fast track button and it sends you to this web page, and they go ahead and walk you through pre-install, installation, post-installation instructions. And then it starts talking about Pacman as the package manager for Arch, used in ArcoLinux, obviously. And they have PAMAC is their graphical package manager, and AUR helpers. So you've got Yay, and it really is an outstanding way for you to get familiar with both Arco and Arch Linux, the Deepin Desktop Environment. They've got their forum here. You can go ahead and donate to this project, get involved, debugging their YouTube channel, and you can go ahead and quit this welcome screen. I'm going to quit it, and here is the Deepin Desktop Environment. Once again, I am considering exploring another desktop environment, not because I'm unhappy with KDE, which I'm currently using, but there's a lot out there for me to explore. I came from a Mac background, so maybe this would work for me. So I'm just checking it out, seeing how it works on top of Arch. Now, what we saw is a notification, and I see that notification right down here. And PAMAC, that is just a package manager, a graphical package manager for Pac-Man. Do I want to ignore all of this, or do I want to go ahead and update all of this? We're going to go ahead and update it because this is a 1.4 gigabyte update. And I want to make sure I see the most recent version of these applications. So I'll be right back after this install. And now we're back in the desktop environment, ready to go. A fully updated system. Now, ArcoLinux is based on Arch, so you will be updating if you choose to update as much as, hourly, but daily. I typically update daily and check those elements before I install, but I do update daily. You don't have to. You can choose not to update. That's your choice. I do want to see a couple things within PAMAC. In PAMAC, you can enable AUR support, which is a repository that a lot of Arch users have set up. And if there is an open source or Linux version of what you're trying to find, and it's not in the regular Arch repository, it probably is in the AUR. And if it's not in the AUR, it probably doesn't exist. So it might be nice for you to enable that AUR support if you are choosing to use PAMAC to do your package management software install and remove. You also can enable Flatpak and enable snap support within PAMAC. For this, I will go ahead and enable Flatpaks. So we have two options here to install Kdenlive. You've got the official repositories and you've got the Flatpak. So I'm going to go ahead and install the Flatpak version of this. This is just a personal preference. I like the idea of Flatpaks, so I'm trying to get myself more familiar with them, and that's why I'm choosing to download and install the Flatpak version of Kdenlive. There is no difference as far as feature set between the two. You're not getting one's going to have this feature and the other one does not. They update differently, and Flatpaks update separately from the rest of the system, which you may like and you may not like. In PAMAC, you can click this little arrow here and see what's happening. One thing I did feel about PAMAC as a whole, not ArcoLinux specific or anything like that, is that it tends to take longer for some reason to install a package than through using terminal or another graphic installer. And that's not necessarily fair. That's just my personal experience. I'm looking for a way to edit photos, and now I can just easily scroll through. It's easy when you're using the terminal and you know what you're looking for. It's not always the case. Now I can show you in the terminal. Let's just find the terminal right here. If you want to search for a package and you don't want to use PAMAC, you just feel like it's so slow. That's kind of how I was feeling. I can just type, if you're unsure of what you're looking for, you can type yay audio. Now this is going to pull up. It's going to query everything I have. And then look at all of these telling me which repository it's from. If I don't know what Ardour is, it does say professional grade digital audio workstation. You can go to the website, or you could Google real quick Ardour and figure out what it is. So that's where people who are just getting going, having a graphical installer, give them some pictures, give them some description and what that works for them. That really helps them out. But for me now, doing this kind of search works just fine. And also, by the way, this is a Deepin Desktop Environment specific terminal. I can open up a new tab, I should say. What we can do is we can type yay Audacity, or we can type sudo pacman install Audacity. You can do that if you know specifically that's what you want to install. But I can easily just type in yay Audacity. It's the helper tool. Here's some packages that could work with that term Audacity. One is Audacity from the community repo. Okay, package to install. I want to install that one. Yes, I want to proceed with installation. It goes through and it looks like we're done. And now if I type Audacity, here is Audacity, and you can use Audacity. That's cool. Just two quick ways to install packages within ArcoLinux and ArcoLinux. If you feel like PadMac is too slow, you can use the terminal, and it is not hard. If you're unsure, pull up a web browser, go to the AUR, go to the Arch repository webpage, and read through what you need to, and also just type in yay, what kind of package you're looking for, and scroll through that if that's what you prefer. Once you kind of know what you're looking for, it's super easy to type in something in the terminal and get what you need. This desktop environment is gorgeous to me. I can right click. I can add folders and elements on the desktop itself if you like that. I do not, but quickly I can add a new folder, call it do not use. And I can take it over here and I can make it a much larger icon there. If that matters to you, you can have it. I'm going to delete it. You also have an auto arrange. This is Deepin Desktop Environment specific, which is nice if you like to have everything on your desktop and you need to arrange them. You can click that. You can also go to the display settings, wallpaper, and screensaver. So we can right click, we can see display settings here. We can set the brightness, night shift, change color, temperature, you get the deal. You see display scaling if you needed to scale it, the resolution, refresh rate, rotation, you know the deal. You can set where the dock is, the bottom, the top. So I'm going to put it on the top. Give myself that feeling, and I'm also going to make it a little smaller. All right. You can make it dark themed. There's your dark. They have multiple icon themes available for you. You can also click this icon up here to get to the settings, and it is grouped in a graphical way. Now, getting the information that I want, I'm going to open up the terminal so that you can see ArcoLinux specific. I'm going to make this full screen. And I'm going to boop, 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 boop. So here you can see what this is. It says the OS is ArcoLinux. The kernel is 5.17.5-arch1-1. Your packages, your shell is bash. The desktop environment is Deepin 20.2.2. Right now, it is showing that we're using 847 megabytes out of the 15.6 gigabytes of memory assigned to this machine. I can type htop, and you can see actually running this way. We're actually using at this moment 812 megabytes. The cores are working a little bit on idle, but nothing big there. Once again, I want to note this tabbed terminal. I know that's not a unique feature, but I do really like this layout and it's pretty. You can also change the theme. That's cool. You know, when you click on the menu here, you get a great full screen, very Mac-like experience. This is the way the current Mac menu looks. And there are some Deepin application-specific things that are available. And I'm trying to see what else ArcoLinux thought we should have and use. So there's also this button over here. This is listing all applications, and then you have grouped applications. They did include Firefox. They did include, this is the Deepin Desktop Environment music application, but they do have Pulse Audio volume control as well. You have what we installed, Kdenlive. They have VLC, MPV, and then some of the Deepin Desktop Environment specific pieces here and some cute video capture elements there. You've got all of Deepin applications here in the graphics, the Office. There is Vim installed here. They have development and they have the system itself. Now this is the Deepin system monitor, just another way to see what is happening. And this monitor, as long as it's running and running its processes, this is showing 1.1 gigabytes used. This just gives you a nice sense and feel of what's happening when you're using the system. That's why I like to see it. Not that, oh no, I just lost 200 megabytes of my system memory. Shouldn't care about that. On my own personal system, I got 32 gigs. I got plenty. By the way, the icons that they have set here are gorgeous, and I love them. That is very nice. I do want to look at a couple of the Deepin Desktop Environment applications. So if I go to the picker, it immediately pulls up something simple for me to pick, and I want to pick that orange. It lets you know, hey, we just copied it with this code here. And so now if you need to pick that color and use it for whatever graphic or photo manipulation that you need to do, or whatever you're editing or designing, you have that here on our clipboard. Thanks. They have this little system tray up here. You've got your notifications. You've got your volume. You can minimize and maximize that. You pull up your calendar. I always like having things set where I can search by month, weeks, and days. You can also see the year. You can add your event, change the theme. Let's say you just wanted the calendar to be light theme instead of the system or dark theme. You can do that right there. So it'll be different than the rest of your workflow. That is nice. Now, what I don't see, at least in this iteration on this install, I don't see a way to integrate online accounts, specifically your Google Calendar, your Exchange Calendar. This is just a show desktop button. This is a multitasking view. So if you need workspaces and you want to work within workspaces, you can. If I click on this draw application and I decide I want to put it on this right here, great. Now it's on a different desktop. And then I open up the file manager. This is the Deepin Desktop Environment file manager. It is cool and gorgeous, pretty awesome looking to me. But I can go ahead, put this on maybe I want to put it on a new desktop. The super key immediately pulls up the menu for selecting applications. So you just select it there and then go to the application that you need. That is great. But if you press the window key and an arrow, you can switch between the workspaces. The only little quirk I see is this one shows that it, at least on this little graphic instruction to let you know which one you're choosing, it looks like it has a different wallpaper chosen, but it's not a different wallpaper. And that's okay. The layout of this file manager is awesome. So here is the photo album. This is a Deepin Desktop specific thing, and it looks very familiar. If you use Photos on Mac, this looks very familiar. And I'm going to use this Windows keys again. I love that. And let's do an overall look here of what is available. Screen capture, let's look at their screen capture tool. I mean, as soon as you click it, it's like, hey, capture your screen. Okay, there's a screenshot. You can record your screen with this same application. You can go ahead and crop it. That is so nice. What I mean is it's nice and simple. That's what I like about the desktop environment. I love that about the Deepin Desktop Environment. It is simple. ArcoLinux tweak tool. Let's take a look at that. That is an ArcoLinux specific thing. ArcoLinux tweak tool. Do we want the welcome app to come up? Do I want a Conky session? Will it let me do Conky? Reset and reload Pac-Man keys, fixing the keys, set mainstream servers for ArcoLinux. This is some nice options here. Oh, you can change your grub theme when you're booting up. That is cool. I think that's just pretty awesome. NeoFetch. This is NeoFetch right here. Okay, so nice, just quick understanding of what is happening on your system. Setting up the Pac-Man configuration right here. Oh, just through a graphic way. That's really nice. These are outstanding. Terminal fun is what they're calling it. NeoFetch is used right up front. It's got some other options for you to use within your terminal. The ArcoLinux tweak tool. That is really great. Okay. I'm going to move my head to show this. This is too cool. They have their Conky set up, and Conky is just a way to monitor what's happening on your system graphically on your desktop. And they had a Stargate theme. I'm a big Stargate fan, and they have a Stargate theme, and this is too cool. This is too cool. I think that is cool. I love the representation of what's happening in the CPU. Oh man, that is too cool. ArcoLinux, thank you for the cool Conky theme. So what did we learn about ArcoLinux in the Deepin Desktop Environment? ArcoLinux seems to be so well thought out, giving everyone an opportunity to learn about Linux and Arch Linux. I'm personally going to take some opportunities to use some of these steps to learn about tiling window managers and window managers. I'm really excited about that, and I'm so grateful that they have that available for me to learn. The other thing we learned is that the attention to detail, giving users like myself essentially a graphical way to understand what's happening. Whether it's the help tool or the welcome screen, they really did a great job of giving us something to latch onto so that we can learn Linux. Thank you. The Deepin Desktop Environment, it's still really pretty to me. It looks really good. The applications are simple and clean and effective. I'm not having to dig into multiple menus to get to what I would want that application to do, and I really like that. Even little things like changing the theme within the application, and I know there's other desktop environments that allow for that. I get that, but it was so easily laid out that it was just quick and easy. I would want everything Dart theme except for my calendar. That would be me personally. And so I could just make that light theme and that's it. I was experiencing some weirdness trying to go to the wallpaper to change the wallpaper. And that could have been my configuration of my virtual machine, or it could be the version of Deepin. I don't know. But I didn't take the time to figure out what the issue was. But I did need to note that I did have that challenge and issue there on this walkthrough. I'm pretty excited about ArcoLinux as a whole, and I love Eric's philosophy, and I'm going to jump on board myself to get comfortable with some things next. Give myself to the next level in Linux. So thank you, ArcoLinux. Does it work with Deepin Desktop Environment? Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. Should I install Deepin Desktop Environment on my current system with Endeavor OS? I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I love my KDE too much, and I know I can have both running. I just know practically I'm going to choose one or the other, so it has to beat out KDE for me to use it. Visually, some of the simple features and applications, but something doesn't feel, it still feels like it needs a little work. That's not an ArcoLinux issue, and I think Deepin Desktop Environment is really close to being something that I could use every day. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you. I hope it gave some value to your day, and I'll see you next time.